darkest time. I can't deny what I see, what I see. We will rise. I can't deny what I see, what I see. In the darkest time. I can't deny what I see, what I see. We will rise. In the darkest time. We will rise.
This is the rhythm of change.
In the darkest time.
This is the sound of redemption.
We will rise.
This is the way that we bring it.
In the darkest time.
This is the way that we bring it down.
We will rise.
Down, down,
I can't deny what I see, what I see.
down, down, down. Down, down,
I can't deny what I see, what I see.
down, down, down. Igniting the fire within you. Exalting the melody of freedom.
We will,
These are the things that will bring it down.
we will rise.
Down, down,
I
down.
can't deny what I see, what I see.
Down, down, down. Down, down,
I
down.
can't deny what I see, what I see.
Down, down, down.
We will rise.
So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud.
We will
Let's
rise.
bring it down. Let's bring it way down.
We will rise.
Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down.
We will rise.
Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down.
In the darkest time.
Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down.
In the darkest
Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down.
We don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. Come on. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
So, good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning, Eric. How you doing?
Happy Monday. Let me make sure, because I don't want you flickering. Happy. Well, you know, I would say happy Monday, but I don't even know. It's Monday.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. So good Monday morning, folks. Good Monday morning. Hey, good news before we get on to all the bad news. 1 out of 5 Americans have been vaccinated.
That is correct. We should hit 1 out of 4 by the middle of this week. And they're at a pace of doing, by the end of the month, they should hit roughly 6.5 million people vaccinated a day.
Right? So one out of five vaccinated. I heard something very poignant yesterday on the news, and I mean, we talk about it, but I don't know that I've ever codified it like this before. The argument isn't about the vaccine being for you. The argument is about the vaccine being for your community. Right? And when I heard that, I said, you know what? That's how we have to make sure we're conveying it, right? So when you have these individuals saying, I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't want to. The question is, what are you doing for your community? Not for you, but for your community. Right? I understand what you choose not to want to do based on limited information. And I was in a thread yesterday, and it was limited information. So, firstly, that growl is for my man DMX. So I gotta stop there, right? But I was in the thread and they were talking about DMX had taken the vaccine 3 weeks before his heart attack. And it was my cousin who posted that. So I want you guys to know that when there's a spread of misinformation, nobody is safe from me. No, not even my family. So my cousin posted this, and I went in there and I said, look, facts. I said, let's shake facts. Fact. Over 162 million Americans vaccinated. There's absolutely zero medical evidence that a single death is the result of a vaccine. I'm going to say that again. 162 plus million vaccinations. 1 out of every 5 Americans vaccinated. And there is zero medical evidence that a single death is a result of a vaccine. So my question now is, even if you freaking want to be a conspiracy theorist, there's no evidence. None. Zero. So then I went to dig deep into this thing that's circulating about DMX, and it said an unknown, unnamed. See, you always got to pause there, right? Unknown, unnamed family member. And so I want you to understand, so this is how desperate you are as a conspiracy theorist. And you don't care. You really don't care where the information comes from, as long as it aligns to your idiocy. You don't care. And so you have no idea. And I'm talking, my cousin posted this. And I love him. But if we're going to be responsible like we're supposed to be, and we are our brother's keepers, I gotta pull your coattail. How do you post something and you have zero idea where it comes from? But you've not posted anything about the 162 million vaccines. Not one thing about that. Not one. So it's clear that what you want to do is spread this misinformation. Because you'd be posting the other stuff too. And then if you were posting both things, so let's say you posted the thing about 162 million people vaccinated, zero medical evidence that a single death is a result of a vaccine. If you posted that, and then you posted DMX took the vaccine 3 weeks ago, thank God he did, and tragically he suffered a heart attack 3 weeks later, and an unnamed, unidentified family member. Right? See, so if you post it in context like that, it allows people who are headline surfers, people who are part of that almost 80% who get their news and information from Facebook, it allows them, well, firstly, it gives you more credibility. And it allows and shows you to be a responsible person. But it allows them now to look at real information, right? Not your narrative. So, so you said 6 million soon a day? That'd be fantastic. Oh, I can't hear you.
Yes, 6 million a day, which is fantastic. You know what is so disturbing or just insidious about these anti-vaxxers is that anybody who is famous or has some level of influence, when they pass away, they jump on, yeah, they got vaccinated and they died. No, the cause of DMX's death was not the vaccine. The cause of his death was the simple fact of him overdosing.
Right.
He would have overdosed, and his heart would have ceased or went into a rhythmic shock or a heart attack with or without the vaccine.
Right.
The vaccine does not increase or decrease the natural functions of the body.
But
the only thing the vaccine does is gives you an advanced warning on your immune system to fight off the virus.
But Vincent, it shows you, right, how desperate they are to misinform. And now go back to what I said before. So the vaccine's not about you. It's about your community. And so now these people who are hell-bent on misinforming, right, they're hell-bent on misinforming. That means that they don't give a shit about your community. Forget about you. Right? You're a foregone conclusion. They don't care about you. But they're willing to wipe out your entire community. So I want you to be clear about that. So these are all, and I'm talking about black folk who do this. So black folk who call black men kings, you see them on social media, right? Kings and queens and young princes and princesses, right? You see all of that, all that narrative, right? But they are agents of destruction. They don't give a damn. They don't give a damn about you Eric, and your community.
They're tools of the devil because they're giving you information that will not only kill you, but also get your family infected and possibly kill them.
Now, see, Vincent, I gotta put. See, when you see a hammer is a tool, which means that in and of itself can do nothing. It's in my toolbox, and it's something to be used. But it has no ability outside of me having a purpose for it. Correct. See, I'm not going to do that with these people, right? They're not just sitting there idly by. They are active participants in this. So when you say that they're a tool, that is a mischaracterization of who and what they are and the danger they pose to everybody in our community. They are not tools. They are agents.
They're a tool for the devil. What I mean is that they are being used by evil to spread evil, to cause harm and damage to innocent.
See, I can't. I'm not gonna see. And then this is where I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. But this is where you. So just say that I was wrong, but don't try to contort it. See, because again, to call them a tool, to say that they're a tool, right, it takes away their accountability, and it puts it on the devil and says that the devil is using them. I am saying that they are active participants. They want to be there. They want to do this. They want to engage in destroying our community. They want to do that. That hammer doesn't want to do anything in my toolbox. It just lays there. These people, Vincent, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it.
Just say calling them a tool isn't something that you would do. Okay, but I believe that we wrestle not with flesh and blood of the individual.
Okay, you're going down a God damn! I can't believe. Call caller go.
Hey, good morning, Eric. Hey, good morning, Vincent. This is Will Hathaway, the Orange.
Big Will, where you been hiding?
What's going on, Will?
Listen, man, I took my first shot a couple weeks ago. Okay, I'm going for my second one today. So, you know, I just encourage people to go out and get vaccinated. I mean, either you get vaccinated or you don't get vaccinated. You know what I'm saying? So I want to ask Eric. I know you got vaccinated already.
Yep.
What was the after effects? Did you have any after effects of it?
Yeah. So I got the Moderna, and I got the first shot in late March. Right?
That's the same way. Just the same time I got it.
And
I had no after effects.
Yeah, and my shoulder.
I got mine at St. Matthew's Church.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you had no side effects. I have mild side effects. I guess they would consider them mild, right? I had a low grade headache. I would say on a scale from 1 to 10, it probably was a 2.5 or 3. So I kind of felt it, right? I was wiped out. I was tired for a day and a half. I also had an achy shoulder where they gave me the shot. Right?
Okay. So what do you recommend for me after I take my second vaccination? Drink a lot of water?
Well, so I had so that was for my first shot. Well, my second shot, I felt like, not a headache, but I felt like dizzy, like just out of it, right?
Okay.
And then my shoulder hurt more. Like it felt like somebody had lined me up with like what was that? What's that game? Croquet. Right? Remember croquet? Right? Like they took the mallet from a croquet game and just whacked me on my arm, man. And then a slow, not a headache, but tired again. Right, and then I experienced my last bit of tiredness yesterday, and now I'm fine. I'm, my shoulder doesn't hurt. I'm good to go. So I would just recommend pay attention to what your body is telling you, right, and then rest, right. For the pain, if your shoulder hurts, your arm hurts where you get the shot, they recommend a Tylenol, right, for that. And then just the rest of it, man, is just recognize that your body is doing what it's supposed to do, right?
I mean, it takes 2 weeks to get into your system, right? That's the recommendation. They say it takes 2 weeks to actually get into your system.
Well, I don't know what you mean by get into your system, but you.
You go through, after the second shot, you go through a 3-week period, giving your body time to respond to the immune buildup.
That's what I was talking about.
Right,
I don't know what's the problem, with people. I mean, there's been issues with the Johnson & Johnson. There has not been any issues that I heard of in Orange right here, and I live here, and we have a vaccination center. We had seniors, the mayor of Orange, Dwayne Warren, along with the Housing Authority, along with FEMA. They vaccinated seniors a couple weeks ago at their facility, so they didn't even have to leave the facility. So this is the homebound seniors that Orange did, along with the Orange Housing Authority, along with the mayor's office, along with FEMA. We vaccinated about 90-something seniors in their facility.
Right. So
Johnson & Johnson.
Right. So you're putting a lot out there. So the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and this was something else somebody put up. They talked about the efficacy of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and they said that it was not as effective as the Pfizer and the Moderna, and that's not true. In fact, it's more effective, right? What they were. There's a lot of data that was not taken into consideration with the Pfizer vaccine and with the Moderna vaccine, right? These variants did not exist with the Pfizer and with the Moderna vaccine. With the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, right, they were taking all of that into consideration. And in fact, they say that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is 100% effective in terms of preventing deaths and hospitalization. So, you know, people just need to get their facts together. Now, there was also a pullback on Johnson & Johnson, right, because of some adverse reactions that people were having.
I think in Georgia, correct? Wasn't an incident? Okay. Well,
Part of the rule.
You know how social media is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. The disinformation that people use on social media to get people to not take the vaccine.
But I just want to commend, you know, our officials here in Essex County, where, you know, there's like Governor Murphy, along with our elected officials. There's been a big trend of where you can get the shot, and you're opening up to, I think the governor today at one of his briefings is going to announce where you can get the shot.
You know what, Vincent? You're giving them way more. Will, you're giving them way more credit than I'm prepared to give them. Okay.
I understand that. I totally agree.
But here, Will, slow down.
If you are if you're giving them more credit than Eric,
well, I'm not giving any.
Eric is not agreeing with your statement, but it's your statement, brother.
Right, it is your statement, it's your truth, but here is fact. Right, so it's your statement, your truth, but here's fact. And I posted it Saturday. There were 9,600 vaccines that were going to go bad yesterday. So when I got the news, I posted it on Saturday, said these are going to go bad on Sunday, and they're available at NJIT. So what does that tell me? It says that 9,600 vaccines were dropped into Essex County, and this leadership that you're patting on the back did not have in place a system to be able to make sure that those vaccines did not get wasted. See,
Eric, that's too much of a rabbit hole to blame on the leadership, because
wait a minute, no. But add it to this, Vincent. The stat I gave you last week that said less than 3% have been vaccinated. So what I'm telling you is this. Listen to what I'm saying to you. The leadership from the faith-based community to the nonprofits, IYO, I'm gonna even lump all of them, the Urban League and the rest, NAACP, lump all of those organizations in, the faith-based community and the elected politicians. They are incapable, because there is a lack of trust in the community. They're incapable right now of outreach. They cannot do it. They've never been interested in doing it. The community knows that. So when they come knocking at the door, you know what the people in the community do? They turn the lights out and they look through the blinds and they go, nobody's home.
Oh yeah, they treat you like you do. They treat you like you the Jehovah's Witnesses.
No, they treat them worse than the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, but hold on, Will, hold on, Will.
Okay.
Eric, here is the thing. We got anti-vaxxers who are spreading dis and misinformation, in which the leaders of the community have set a therefore timeline and scheduled people, and some of them have scheduled overage for people to come and get their vaccine. It is not the fault of the leaders of the community when people who have been scheduled and overscheduled do not show up.
Oh, Vincent, stop it. Well, then what is the lead?
No, Eric, we cannot pin the stupidity.
Vincent, then tell me what the role, then tell me in a functional community where you have functional leadership, you tell me what the role is.
Well, I think the leadership in the communities are doing the best.
You know what, Vincent?
People, no, don't interrupt, Eric, please, don't interrupt. I think they are doing their best for the community. However, you can make it available to people, but you cannot get some of these idiots because they're misguided or believe these anti-vaxxers to not show up.
Okay, wait a minute. So you know what? So here's the bullshit. Wait a minute. Here's the bullshit. And then Jody, I'm gonna let you go, Jody.
Jody, please let Eric.
Jody, one second, then I'm gonna let you go, Jody. So here's the bullshit. Everything got lumped on Donald Trump. Everything. And so the people who then were shooting stuff into their arms, right? Or they were expecting light to go into their veins or whatever it was. When he didn't wear a mask and then other people didn't wear masks, we pointed to leadership. We pointed directly to leadership. And now you divert from leadership. Come on, stop it. Stop the hypocrisy. No, Jody, go.
No. Everything after Jody, I like to address that.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So first of all, right, we just shoot things out from the hip. So do you have any facted data on that? Like, can you tell me how many people the city have contacted? Did they put out a list and say, hey, we contacted this many people, and as you put it, and this many bums didn't show up, right? Because and I would never trust anything that Essex County leadership said because they poisoned children with water and lied about it.
This is my point.
Eric. So basically, I've been.
Wait, what's that, Vincent? Will, allow Jody to finish.
So I came off of social media this weekend because, on Friday, because the whole little DMX thing, right?
Mute your phone, Vince.
Will, allow Jody to finish.
Where someone said, they were saying that he died of the COVID vaccination, and at that point, it hadn't even been released any information. It was just this one website, right? So someone in the community in North posted, and I didn't even go in as a pro-vaccination person. They had said the boy was dead at one point. He wasn't dead. So I was just like, hey, listen, let's not do that. Let's give this family some space. Let's give this family some space, blah, blah, blah. And the person argued back with me that, I was pro-vaccination. And I'm like, no, this isn't about vaccination. This is just about let this family breathe. People keep throwing stuff up. And someone texted them and said, don't listen to Jody Pittman. She's an Eric Dawson ass kisser.
Wow.
I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that's where we go. Like, I can't have a mind of my own. I'm all the way here in North Carolina. I'm doing my own thing. But that would have to be what I am, right? I deleted my Facebook page. And I did it because it's Ramadan and I want to fast and pray and peace, and I don't want that in my mind. But at the same time, I was just like, how fundamentally wrecked are you? That is what it is. That is the...
Yeah, but you know what? So
but Eric, Will was trying to get in a point.
Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, so what I was saying...
Stay focused, though.
I brought up issues where I will receive, like in Essex County, the county executive, Joe DiVincenzo, has sent out flyers, mailers, emails, where in my process of getting the first vaccination, how I got my first vaccination was through just luck. We had got some vaccines that they were left over or something. So they called me
right.
to come down and get a vaccination.
Right.
That's how I got mine.
But Will,
I've been still waiting. But the thing is that is most important how you sent out the message.
Will,
like this first
Will, but here's the Will. Here's what I'm saying to you though, and Jody Jody reminded me of all of the people who were lying during the whole water issue, right? Which still hasn't been
Okay.
resolved, right? So let's take Joe D. So, what do they say? Lie once, lie always, right? So if Joe D lied about the water, let me finish, Will. If Joe D lied about the water, if he covered up for Raz about the water because he wanted Raz to win re-election, so that's Joe D, right? And so now that same Joe D, who all of these people looked and said, well, wow, this guy's covering up for this guy, and he knows he's lying, right? So now that same Joe D comes out to the masses and says, hey, I want you to believe me about this thing. What I'm saying to you is this: you have to give him some accountability for being a liar. And you also have to say that some of the people who are not going because he lacks credibility. And for him to say, oh, I'm not going to put that on the elected officials or on the leadership is ludicrous. It's ludicrous.
Now, please. Now, may I finish? Because I've waited.
And then I'm gonna let you talk, Vincent. You just had a show where you were talking about pimps in the pulpit, right? So now, if you're gonna have a show talking about pimps in the pulpit, which equates to a lack of credibility, right? And then I say to you that because of that lack of credibility, they lack leadership. And then for you to say, oh no, they can be pimps in the pulpit. They can commit adultery and lie and do all those things. But then when it comes to them having outreach, that they bear no responsibility for their past actions, and the fact that people are not responding to them is ludicrous.
Now, can I go?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's keep it on the show that we did on Pimps in the Pulpit. And the basics of that, and one of the things that we discussed immensely, was the simple fact of the disheartening or the heartbreak of a lot of people who have placed these leaderships on such a untrue or reachable pedestal in terms of their ability. You find that pastors, pimps, and leaders are still human and fallible and capable of making mistakes.
Oh my God, Vincent.
But excuse me, please, can I finish? One of the things that we discussed with that.
No, I don't want to rehash the show.
Well, no, I'm not rehashing.
I'm on credibility. On credibility.
I'm not rehashing.
Okay, on credibility.
What I'd like to do is be able to talk to and get to my point.
Well, get to the point on credibility.
Here is the second point. In terms of credibility, yes, people lie because that's human nature. Yes, but then you have to look at a few things with this vaccine. Not the fact that you are trusting the word of the leadership that is providing space and distribution to it, but you can also check on what they're actually doing.
Okay, did you afford Donald Trump that same thing? Did you afford him that same thing?
Yes, I
No, you didn't.
Here's the thing where I...
Oh, come on, stop it!
This is where I put a...
So Donald Trump just lied. That's what you said. So they lied.
Eric, now to answer your question, did I give Donald Trump that same thing? Yes, I did. But this is the thing that turned me off of Donald Trump. With everything that he said that I gave him, I took with a grain of salt. The fact checkers and the facts of science totally disagreed with it.
No.
That's why
No, Vincent, no, this is what I'm saying. No. Vincent.
Eric, there is a huge difference right now between a leader who is, Jody, I'm still talking, please.
Go ahead.
Jody,
Go ahead, Vincent.
There is a big difference between a leader who says that we've got these vaccines out, these vaccines are safe, and they're there, come and take it, and a leader who says it's going away.
No, Vincent. See, Vincent, this is where I think your tunnel vision just doesn't allow you to understand what it is that I'm saying. Credibility is credibility. So if you're talking about Donald Trump lacking credibility and saying it's going away and thus is a liar, I'm saying that you have people who have lied their entire political careers that lead up to this moment, and you believe now that because they're telling the truth that they all of a sudden have more credibility than the guy who's been lying too. And I'm saying they all lack credibility.
That
That is not what I said. That is what you're thinking. What I said was this. Donald Trump lost credibility because the facts did not support his claim.
No.
What I'm saying to you is that this leadership should not take blame for it because they're doing everything according to
let me ask you.
the data,
Okay,
but people aren't
so here's the question I want to ask you, Vincent. So somebody lies their entire wait a minute, Jody. One second. Wait. So somebody lies their entire life. They lied their entire life. Their entire life they lie, and now they tell the truth, and you say that they have credibility because in this one moment they're telling the truth.
I'm saying in this one moment they are not wrong.
No. That's not what I'm asking you. No,
that
Vincent.
Is what I was saying.
No,
here.
Vincent. No. I'm saying to you that these are liars, and because they're liars, right? It doesn't matter what they're saying now. They have built up a life of lies, and so those people who are now listening to them, right, that are reluctant to go, it is because of the lies that they have told over their entire political careers or positions in leadership. And so these people, and what you're saying to me, what you're trying to convince me and other people who are listening is that these people who have lied their entire careers, either as faith-based leaders, as political folks, or as leaders in nonprofit organizations, that those lies don't bear any responsibility to the non-action of the people who look at them and say that they're liars. That's crazy.
Well, after Jody goes, I'm going to address that. Jody?
So when someone says, when Rev Rocker says, oh, the children aren't getting lead from the water, they're getting it from paychecks. When Joe D solidified that lie. The numbers were there. Papers were out. We knew exactly the rate of lead in water per area, per child. We knew that, right? That is no different than what you're saying about Donald Trump. And once you lie, right? We're not talking about they simply told a mistruth. We're talking about lies. Just like we're talking about lies today. When you're talking about a vaccination, you're talking about lies. So if you lied to me about poisoning me, why would I believe anything you say moving forward? Why should anyone trust that whole entire space of politicians who lied to them about a natural, normal, and very free and very yours piece of water, right? Why should anyone believe them? And why would you defend them and make them any different than Donald Trump?
Okay. Well, let me.
And of course,
So can I, Eric, can I get in this conversation?
Sure, and then I'll go after you, Will.
All right. So more than 781 million shots has been.
Wait, Will. No. I want to stay focused. No, Will. I want to stay focused, right? I don't want to move off the. So I want to ask you a question. Were there lies told about the water in Newark?
I mean, listen. I don't live in Newark, so I.
No. You don't. But you don't have to live in Newark. Will. Okay, so you know what? Then I'll do this.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this, okay? To my knowledge, okay, what I've seen, okay, really. I mean, I don't live in Newark. I'm gracious that I live in Essex County, but I'm saying as though, as far as fixing the issue, it is being done.
You know what? Okay, then we're gonna move on. Well, if you can't be honest in this conversation, right? Because if you can't be honest,
what I was saying.
So no. But I want to have a. But I want to. Will. But
it doesn't have anything to do with politics. It has to do with people's lives. Will. Yeah, go ahead.
Will. So I'm gonna ask you one other question, right? And because I'm just trying to get a baseline of where integrity sits right now in our conversation. with regard to Joe DiVincenzo, because you gave them credit, and with regard to Dwayne Warren, because you gave him credit, right?
They're doing what?
What?
As far as
you were patting them on the back for a job.
Absolutely.
Well, okay. So I'm going to ask you a question. Are they liars?
No, they're not.
Oh. Wait. So no. That's okay. That's okay. No. Will, go ahead. No. Will, I can't. Will, I can't. Go ahead. Because what I want to say, but Vincent, before you go, Vincent, before you go, I just want to say this. Will, that was I don't even know how to describe that, because I'll go into later the feds coming into City Hall in Orange.
I have nothing to do with that.
No. But I asked you if he was a liar, and you said no. That's what you said. No. That's what you said. No.
As far as what, the vaccination?
No, I'm saying a liar. Just in general, a liar. Does he lie?
You gotta ask him.
Yeah, he lies.
Okay, so
Go ahead,
as I was saying, Eric, you keep saying that because a person lied, they're always a liar, and that has a level of truth to it. But
no, it doesn't have a level of truth.
Eric,
it is true. No, but I'm not gonna let you hedge this shit, Vincent.
Can you?
No, I'm not gonna. No, because I'm not gonna let you tell mistruths either. Somebody who's a liar is a liar.
Eric, because I agree or disagree does not make it a lie. It just makes it a disagreement with.
No, Vincent. If I tell you it's raining, wait a minute, Vincent. If I tell you it's raining and you tell me it's not, no, Vincent.
I get 30 seconds?
I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. Vincent. Thank you. Will, have a great day. I'm gonna give you 30. Vincent. I'm gonna give you 30. Vincent, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds in a second. If it's raining outside and I tell you it's raining and you tell me it's not, that's a lie. It's not a differing of opinion. It's a lie.
No, it's a difference of perspective, because you're telling me it's raining from your location doesn't mean that it's raining from my location. It doesn't make it a lie. It makes it a truth where you are. Now, if we're in the same location and
now you sound like Chauvin. Now you sound like Chauvin. Now you sound like Derek Chauvin.
When you please.
Yeah, you hear that, right? You sound like Derek Chauvin. It's a matter of perspective.
Eric, would you stop with the interruption so that I can get my thing out here?
Go ahead.
The greatest lie that we have is called a broken watch. But even a broken watch is accurate twice a day. And how do we know it's accurate twice a day? We check.
Right.
The same thing with these liars. How do we confirm that they're lying? We check. Now, when we look at what's going on with this vaccine, okay, when we look at what's going on with the water, we found out that they were lying with the water because the facts stated that they were lying. But in terms of him giving distribution to people who do not come out and take it, that's not a lie. It's not his fault. That belongs solely on the people. We sit up here and people have the tools to get things done. They don't get it done, and then we blame leadership.
Oh, that sounds like Donald Trump. That's the same conversation. That's the exact same thing I said to you about Donald Trump. I said people can do this. Wait a minute. I said people can do this and that and this and that, and you said he is the leader and fish rots from the head down. I'll give you all the goddamn things you said, Vincent. But now all of a sudden, wait a minute. Now all of a sudden it doesn't rot from the head down, does it?
No.
Gotcha.
No. This is what I'm saying in comparison to Donald Trump versus in comparison to what they did. In comparison to Donald Trump, when the nation was in trouble and they said, look, you can do this by doing that and doing this and then spreading it to the 50 states, he didn't do it. The states had to do their own individual things. That's why you had that's why you had New York competing with Connecticut and Pennsylvania for these masks in China. That's why you had, so that was not the context in what I said. The context in what I've said is that you cannot blame leadership when they provide you what you need and then you don't do it.
So wait a minute. So now you have this leadership But wait a minute. But we're gonna go back to this leadership, right? Let's talk about this leadership for again. I'm talking about the leadership because we talked about it last week or the week before last, right? Democrat Party, how they engage, and we showed facts, right? Where we were talking about what goes on in, they're complaining about all the issues going on in Georgia or the law passed in Georgia, but they said in New York and New Jersey, that right, it's worse. Right? So let's talk about these leaders who have engaged in oppressive behavior, who have engaged in intimidation, who have engaged in all these things. So now you've got these people who are in these communities who have suffered under the hands of all of these leaders. You want to ignore all of that and say now, after they kicked it, that's like a dog, right? Here's an example, Vincent. It's like you beating the shit out of a dog. Just kicking the shit out of a dog. And then putting a bowl of food there and going, hey, I put the food there. I don't know why the dog's not coming to eat it. That's the dog's fault the dog's not coming to eat it. But you don't want to take account for the fact that you kicked the shit out of that dog so much that it'd rather sit in the corner and starve to death than to come anywhere near you and eat the food that you just put down in front of you. See, that's the difference. And I'm saying you got to take some accountability for the fact that you beat that dog so goddamn bad that they don't trust you. And I'm saying to you that that's what leadership has done. And you're saying, no, but the clock is right twice a day. And on this occasion, they put the food down. And the fact that these people who have been beaten down for generations by these people who have lied to them. Lied to them. You got to embrace the culture that exists in our community, and you're refusing to do that. You're giving them a 100% pass on this, Vincent. This is crazy.
Okay, are you finished?
No, I want to move on because you're going to keep with the bullshit to prove your point to be right.
No, you're going to keep twisting it to prove the point that to substantiate your point, and that's the same.
What's the condition of the people in the community, Vincent? So let me ask you two questions. No, I want to ask you two questions. What is the current condition of black people in urban communities emotionally? What is their current condition emotionally? What is the current condition of black people in urban America emotionally?
Okay, I will answer that question if you tell me what in the hell does that question have to do with what we just talked about?
I'm going to tell you exactly why. See, because we're fucked up emotionally, and we're fucked up emotionally because leadership played a big part in fucking us up. Those are the Negro whisperers and the slave catchers that I continue to talk about. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that we've been abused. When I say that we're in an abusive relationship, see, I believe the things that I'm saying. I don't just say them. When I say that we are in an abusive relationship, when I say that we suffer from Stockholm syndrome, these are real things. When I say that there are these transmitted diseases in our community, these socially transmitted diseases, all of this is real. All of it is real. And so I'm saying, so now from that prism is how I see these people who we're now, who now these leaders, these people who have been the oppressors, right, are saying to them, hey, come get the vaccine. We beat the shit out of you for the last 20, 30 years. But hey, guess what? We got a vaccine. Come get it. And you're going that those people who have suffered, that the fact that they're not coming out to get it, it's on them. And I'm going, no, Vincent. It's the lies. It's the deception. It's the intimidation. It's the threats. It's all of this stuff that has been heaped on the community.
Eric, that's what it is.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
That's what it is.
Gotcha.
There's a big difference between Stockholm syndrome, okay, in terms of an abusive relationship and something that can save your life. And I mean, there are a lot of similarities, Eric, and I agree with that. And I agree that the pathological and mental state of
oh, now here you're your psychobabble, Vincent.
Well, please.
Go ahead.
Is in a dire state. But here is one thing to my point. If it is there for you to take it. You have to research for yourself
Gotcha.
to find out if it is not a lie and to take it. We have been talking about the vaccine being safe to the umpteenth degree. We have talked about the anti-vaxxers who are giving people misinformation.
Right.
I said, once again, the leadership is providing this. Do the research for yourself to see if it's a lie or a truth, and if it's true, take it.
Right. So the same guy who beats the shit out of his wife every day, and then we sit and go, well, the door's right there. She should leave. The door's right there. She should go. Right? Whatever. Right? You don't take into account now. Right? So you're based on what the bullshit you're feeding. You go, oh, it's her fault for not leaving. You don't put
what I said, Eric. I didn't say anything about it being her fault for not leaving.
Well, Marina. But you're saying it's their fault for not taking the vaccine.
We're not going to compare an apple to an orange. Okay, there's a big difference in somebody actually going and getting the vaccine versus somebody who is dealing with all of this domestic abuse. Huge difference.
No, there's no difference, Vincent. Vincent, you know what? See, listen, and I'm gonna move on because and I'm telling you, this is for you. Now I'm telling you, your credibility is in question when you make a statement like that. No, listen to what I'm saying to you. Because you, and so for you to say that people, because Vincent, there are books out, right, that talk about the syndrome of slavery, right, that you and I are suffering under. Right, and we were never on a plantation, ever, right? But they're books by notable people that talk about these syndromes, and for you to sit here, like I'm giving you and then I'm gonna move on, but I'm gonna give you one last chance. That the last statement that you just made, where you said that there is no difference, there is no difference.
There is a difference.
I'm sorry, that there is a difference between. I'm sorry that you said there is a difference between somebody who's in an abusive relationship and somebody who's in an abusive relationship. You said there's a difference between somebody who's in an abusive relationship and somebody who's in an abusive relationship. I'm gonna say that one more time.
No. I said there is a difference between somebody in an abusive relationship and somebody not taking a vaccine for their life.
No. But I'm saying to you that the people who are not taking the vaccine are in an abusive relationship.
And I'm saying to you that that's bullshit.
Got you. All right. So now, okay. So now we'll move on.
In its totality, Eric, that is bullshit.
Gotcha.
Straight up.
Gotcha.
Because somebody in an abusive relationship has some opportunities, but because eventually, yes, and here are the similarities, eventually it does cause harm to that person. They are under some psychological or financial control. But in terms of taking the vaccine, okay, you cannot say that because leadership has been abusing them, they're afraid to take it. Because here is where it differs, all right? Leadership in that psychological battering and physical abuse in terms of domestic relationship, leadership oppresses them to do exactly what they want to do. So in this situation, leadership, who's supposed to oppress them to do exactly what they want them to do, take the vaccine, they're not taking it.
Right.
So there goes your argument.
No. So here's the point, right? So there, I can literally spend 5 hours just like, and then you listen back to this stuff, and I could take the greatest clips from this. So doctors, well-known psychiatrists, psychologists talk about the abusive relationship that the black community is in general with this government and with the pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry. And as a result, right, they hearken back to, even though they didn't personally experience it, they hearken back to the Tuskegee experiments, right? This is, let me finish.
You have the North Carolina sterilization.
No. Because if you open your mouth, you're going to make my point. So you don't want to do that, right? Don't open your mouth and make my point, because then you're going to be in contradiction with yourself. Because what they're talking about is the syndrome that has kept the black community, right? This abusive relationship that has kept the black community from taking the vaccine. Right? And so I'm saying to you that it's not just at the federal government level, it's not at all, it's at the local level too. But it's an abusive relationship. These are not Eric's words. These are words from very notable psychiatrists, psychologists, all kinds of things in all these industries. And so for you to sit and say that is bullshit, that they're not in an abusive relationship, I'm saying, Vincent Squire, your credibility is deeply challenged right now.
No, what is deeply challenged is the way that you like to twist my narrative. Now, again, Eric, I can agree 100% that blacks have a level of caution when it deals with government and the medical and scientific community.
Why?
However,
why do they have caution?
Why? We already talked about that.
No, why?
I've even added, okay, because you said the Tuskegee, and I said, well, let's not forget the North Carolina.
But why do they have caution? Because they've been lied to. Wait a minute, go ahead. Because they've been lied to.
Eric, I'm not going to go over and waste my time talking on what you already said, in which I agree upon.
Right.
This is where I differ. We are now talking about, we're talking decades since that point. Yet, people who had no effect, no understanding on it, are still changed to say, don't touch the white man and the doctor because they're going to kill us.
No, don't do that to my black people.
Eric,
why are you talking about black people like that? Why did you use that? Why do you use that tone?
Why do you not let me finish?
Because what you just did was offensive.
No, because what I just did was the.
Is that how black people talk? Is that how black people talk?
No, but that's how you
portray them.
That is how I am
characterizing.
Black
people.
I am characterizing
black people.
Negro whisperer and slave catchers, because black people seem to me to be very intelligent
because
they are getting the vaccine at an alarming rate in certain populations. However, now if I can get back to my point, okay, to say that the simple fact that my great, and this did not happen, I do not know the history, but I'm using this as a narrative to say that my great grandfather was a pimp does not mean that I am a pimp. Okay, so the simple fact of saying that this had happened to our great grandparents doesn't mean that this is going to happen to us. Why? Because now we've got so many class action lawsuit attorneys who are ready to sue on behalf of the poor black people. So black people will get 1% of the lawsuit, and then the attorneys get 99.
Okay.
Let's go, Eric, to say that right now that it's the fault of leadership is not a 100% true statement.
Okay.
The fact that he did the twist and phonetic.
Yo, like Chubby Checker, man, he was doing the twist.
Right?
Go ahead.
Said that he had no credibility. Why are we listening? And you said move on.
In terms of Jody Pittman, nothing I says has credibility.
No.
However, there is a large group. But you know what? Thank God that Jody Pittman is not the voice of millions of other Americans.
Right. And every time you get on this show, you solidify my theory of you. Right? To do that phonetical play on black people and the way in which we talk. It is no different. What he's doing today is no different when he says that it's not the educational system that is destructive, it's the poor and low and lazy black parents. Is this. That is the same thing. Everywhere we twist and turn with him, he finds a way to say that the downtrodden black person is an idiot. And so he phonetically changed and made that statement to say that that's how he feels. He can twist and turn it, but he does it every time.
No, see, this is
feel on the inside. I don't have to quantify or qualify that. You do that every time you open your mouth.
Okay, so I want to.
You can't be trusted. I told you last week. You look like us, but you are not one of us.
So we're at the 11 o'clock. We're at the 11 o'clock hour, And
Can I get 30 seconds?
Yeah, you get 30 seconds, and then I want to move on, and I want to talk about.
Now,
I'm going to 30 seconds.
Jody, one of the biggest things that you do is fact check everything I say, and I think to your greatest frustration is that you find very few things that I say wrong, which is why you keep doing it. But in terms of me, or you saying because I'm skin folk, because I did let you finish. All I'm trying to get is 30 seconds. Jody, please show some restraint. Please. Can I get the rest of the 15 seconds out? To say that I am skin folk and not kinfolk may be true because I don't agree with everybody. Why? Because I've learned how to think for myself.
Got it.
And I don't have a problem in stating my opinion.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, I don't have a problem in admitting that.
Okay. Well, hopefully, I want to move on. Dante Wright, I want to talk about him. Right, young man, 20 years old, shot and killed by police. Right, and I want to talk about the the Derek Chauvin trial a little bit, and then I want to talk about the Army lieutenant who was stopped at gunpoint in Virginia. And so I do listen to it now again in the car, but it's not allowed in the house. But here's what I figured. When I was listening to it, because Joe Scarborough this morning was perplexed, right? And Eddie Gawal was on there, and they were talking about, well, what do we have to do? What do we have to do? And you know what I thought? We got to get Joe Scarborough off the fucking air. We got to get Mika Brzezinski off the air talking about our issues, right? So Joe Scarborough, right, if he gave a damn, he would recognize what the current makeup is in terms of anchors on these kinds of shows, right? And he would realize that Eddie Glaude should be sitting in his seat, right? And Eddie Glaude should be talking about this, not this thing being talked about and moderated by Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. See, that there lies the issue. Right? So until we're talking about our issues, until we're given those platforms to talk about our issues, they're never going to really be talked about, right? They're going to be watered down. They're going to be diluted, right? So when you watch MSNBC, when you watch CNBC, when you watch all of these liberal networks and you see white people talking about our issues, there is the problem. There's a problem. So I don't want to hear Joe talk about our issues anymore. I don't want to hear it.
Okay. May I interject
Sure.
another point to that?
Sure.
Well, you have to look at this in terms of the black issues being addressed. They're generally not addressed until white people talk about them.
But that's the issue. There's the issue. So until they qualify it, right? No matter how much we talk about, until a white person says, oh, it's really an issue. So there's the psychology in that, right? So it's not really important until they say it's important.
Correct.
Right. That's my whole point. So we need to break that psychology by saying, no, don't talk about our issues anymore. We don't want to hear from you. I'm telling you, it's all insidious. Joe Scarborough knows right now that he and Mika sit there where they sit because of their white privilege. And their white privilege now, right? Read the book, White Fragility. We never got to talking about where do we go from here. We're going to have to reschedule a date on that. But read these books because it tells you that they don't know. They don't know, but their arrogance. His arrogance has him sitting there every freaking day, believing that he can have a conversation about our issue. And we allow it. Eddie Glaude should just get the fuck up and walk off the fucking set.
It's not the fact that we don't allow it. It's the fact that we do not exercise that choice. See, the thing is that Joe Scarborough talking about black issues on MSNBC, as the conversation we had with Lindsay Davis, she says, no, those things are done by people higher up who have a bigger pay grade. What we have the control to do is to not watch it and decrease its ratings. What we do have the control.
Well, that's what I just said. We allow it. We allow it. That's my point. We allow it by watching it. We allow it by Eddie Glaude being on there. Eddie Glaude and the rest of them should just say, no, we're not coming on here anymore. We want our own, right now in this moment, to talk about these issues, we want our own show, MSNBC. What would happen if they did that?
Let me interject another point. There is a large demographics of black people that don't believe the words that come out of a black person's mouth, and they don't believe it to be true into a white man's.
That's my whole point, though. You're making my point. My point is, and then we undergird it.
Yes,
we undergird it by allowing it to continue to happen. So for these people, for the Eddie Glaudes and for the rest of them, they should say, let's think about this, right? Maybe I'm just emotionalizing this right now, but I'm going, what if they just said, you know what? I can't have Mika Brzezinski ask me another goddamn question about what I feel as a black man. I can't have her do that. I can't have Joe Scarborough temper me by asking me questions about how I feel as a black man. I can't do that anymore. You know what? If you all want me to talk about these issues, give me my own show. Give me that credibility. But see, as long as you have me sitting over here as a guest, but you don't value me either. See, you want to value me? Make it the Eddie Glaude show. Give me that. You think I'm brilliant? You think I offer a perspective worth listening to in this climate? Then give me the Eddie Glaude show. Don't make me a footnote on somebody else's fucking show.
And again, it is not the truth, according to Eric Dawson. But the reality is this, Eric. Eddie is saying probably the same thing that you're saying. However, I'm guessing he has a standard of living in which him and his family has grown accustomed to, where he's not.
What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything?
What I'm saying to you, excuse me, is that maybe one of the things in which he's enduring this is because the brother needs some money.
Oh, that may be the case. I'm not looking. What I said is we allow it. That's all I said, right? So Eddie allows it. For whatever the reason is, he's allowing it, right? So, but, right, because Eddie may know, just like Arsenio should have known, right? According to everybody else, Arsenio should have known when he had Farrakhan on his show, he should have known this shit was over for him, right? So maybe, see, but, right? So this is the abusive relationship that we're in this country, right? So maybe Eddie knows somewhere back there that if I speak up too much, right? If I dare to believe that the leash is too long and I bark too loud, right? They'll pull it and I'll realize I got a choke collar on. Or if I decide to run too fast, thinking that there's no fence up, I'll get shocked by the electrical one that's under the ground. Right? Maybe he knows that. I don't, but I'm saying, and then maybe now we have to take some accountability as black folk and say, see, what we haven't done is given him the strength and courage to believe that if he pushes back, we'll have his back. See, so it's all conditioning. All of it is conditioning. But what I will tell you is, as long as listen, just like they talked about when the Cosby Show came on, they said what a great thing this is for black people to now see black people not being portrayed as pimps and drug dealers and all these other kinds of things, but you have professional, right? You have a professional family, a doctor and a lawyer, and you have these kids in school and all this stuff, right? I'm going the same thing, right? When you look and you see, you turn on MSNBC and you see what you see, it's all conditioning at that level. Well, who do we trust to give us the news? We trust, like you said it, Vincent. We don't trust black people to give us the news. We trust the white people to give us the news.
No, I said that there is a large demographics of blacks that you don't trust.
Right. I'm not saying. Right. I'm saying that's what you said. You said that we, the large demographic, we right? Not necessarily you or me or Jody, but the proverbial we, right? We trust the white person to give us the news. And so what do? They serve the white person up to reinforce that thing that you just said. And I'm saying that we have to break that down by saying, no, what we want to do is we want to get our news. We want to get our news from black folks that we value and trust. We want them to be elevated.
Which brings us back to the other or the younger demographics who do not trust the news sources, yet fall victim to all the dis and misinformation on social media.
So you know, but this is what we live in, guys. So this lieutenant, understand this. So this lieutenant did everything that we teach our black children to do, that we were told to teach our black men to do, right? Everything. And in fact, was it a few years ago, I talked about this, right, Jody, where I said I was driving up Bloomfield Avenue going through Glen Ridge in New Jersey, right? And Glen Ridge is one of those towns where I think they may only have one black cop, right? And they target people coming up Bloomfield Avenue, right? And so I dare to come up Bloomfield Avenue because, again, this is the conditioning, right? They say, no. Because of the number of stops and how we harass black people, we get them to go around, right? And so, no, I'm not going to do that. So one night I'm driving to Bloomfield at 1 o'clock in the morning. Lights come on. And because I have many members in law enforcement in my family, this is what I do, right? Understanding I want them to get home safely, and I want to get home safely too. The officer pulls me over. So I immediately turn my car off. I turn my interior lights on. I roll all my windows down. I take the key out of the ignition, and I hang both hands out the window. That's what I do. That's what I've been conditioned to do to save my life, right? So now, this lieutenant, what he said in this culture is not unreasonable. Said, I fear for my life at night when I'm getting pulled over by a police officer. Well, why shouldn't he? Look at what's around us, right? So now he's suffering from trauma, right? That America doesn't want to acknowledge black people are suffering from, because if they acknowledge that, then they got to acknowledge that there's a source of trauma. Right? So you can't acknowledge that somebody's having trauma without acknowledging that there's a source of trauma. And then you got to acknowledge where that source comes from. And now you got to start talking about repair. Right? So there's no trauma. So the lieutenant says it's at night. And I know, because I've seen it on the news a bunch of times, how they fear for their lives. They can't see shit in the dark, right? And, you know, it was a cell phone. It was a bottle of Coca-Cola. It was something that they thought was a gun. So he said, I'm going to put my hazards on as I was taught and conditioned, and I'm going to drive to a well-lit location. So he does that, right? And then when he does that, the officers get out of their cars with their guns drawn, right? And then proceed to give him all kinds of signals. Now, I want to go back and say, firstly, go ahead.
Do you want to see the story or share the screen on it?
I can't share the screen. I didn't pull the you know what? I got to start doing that again, where I have videos and all that kind of stuff. But here's the thing. They said that they pulled him over. And, you know, I was going to say thank God for video, but that doesn't even matter, right? Because we're going through this George Floyd trial. So they're even saying that don't matter. I don't care how much video you have. Right? So they first said that they pulled him over as a traffic stop because his license plate was not visible. Right? But then you see, once he gets into the well-lit area, the reason why they were going to stop him no longer exists. Because his license plate, his temporary plate is taped to the top of his window, back window. You can see it. So now at that point, go, okay, so whatever you were going to stop him for before, and none of it had anything to do with the belief that he was violent or that he had committed a crime or anything else. Right? So no reason. but they have the guns drawn. So they're ready for action. Right? And then they begin to tell him when he says, yo, I fear for my life. And the one cop says, you should. You should. You should fear for your life. And the cop says, you're going to, what was it? You're going to ride the white lightning?
The white lightning.
Right? So you should fear for your life. And in my mindset says you should be executed. For what? And he's saying, for what? We haven't done anything. But we all know for what, right? So we got to stop being ignorant or pretending to be ignorant for being black. You should fear for your life because you're black. Right? You should ride the white lightning. You should be executed because you are black.
No, let's look at it. We're talking about temporary tags because here is this black man driving a brand new vehicle. Not to mention, when you pull him over, he's in uniform. So he's not an NCO or a sergeant, private, etc. He is an officer, which means that he has college and experience behind him. So now we're looking at a bunch of police officers who have the ability to take the civil service test and become a police officer, now looking at a man who is qualified in the United States military to lead, to be in command.
You're giving him too much credit, Vincent.
No. What I'm doing is looking at another angle of this white insecurity, because now he is in a position of power over a man in which he perceives to, or which he knows has power. And that part of him, when he said, I fear for my life, that was additive to his fragile nature of taking control and power of this elite black man by saying, you should be.
No, Vincent, you're giving him, see, this is what I'm saying. No, see, in the book White Fragility, right, it is just that I'm black. Nothing else. Wait a minute. No, nothing else. It has nothing to do with whether I'm learned or not. It just has to do with whether I'm submissive or not. That's it. If I dare, so that man could have dropped out in the 3rd grade. See the mentality, and this is what I'm saying. We got to be clear about what's going on. What's going on is this: if you dare to lift your head up and look them in the eye, see, that's the white fragility right there. All of the rest of it.
I was just saying, Eric.
What?
That is what I was.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to do. But I want to be clear, because I don't want to see. Because if you got somebody, here's my fear about when you say the things that you say, Vincent. So for a person who might be listening to the show, they say, well, then I'm safe because I'm not a lieutenant. I'm safe because I don't have a degree. I'm safe because I don't have all of the accoutrements of that man who was stopped. I'm going, no, but you black. That's all you gotta have. That's it.
Now, Eric, you got that part of my statement, but you didn't get this part of my statement and in understanding in my narrative. The biggest problem that white people have is that there are black people who are doing far better than them. As the president said, if you take the poorest white person and you tell him that he is better than the most successful black person, he says, I don't have to pick their pockets. They will put their money in wheelbarrows and deliver it to me. That's what it was. Now these guys feel that these poor white cops feel like they're better than this man who is reaching or going to the highest level of his skill set.
You know what the problem is? Just what he said, right? He just said Joe Scarborough, right? So because he's the president, he can't speak for us. Because he's the president, when he gives his analysis of what our problem is, it's coming from a place of privilege. He can't say for us, right? And what Eric is saying to you is, it doesn't matter. They don't wait for the judge to come around and then they do their thing, because George Floyd wouldn't be laying on a sheet. It doesn't matter. It's just the color. And when you start going into all of these extra additives and definitions of what it is, it's just how they see us as a group. Not based on our intelligence, not based on our our doctorates and not based on where we are in the military. They just saw a color. That's it. That's it. And Joe Biden and Joe Scarborough and no one else can break that down because they just see us that way. And they need to, as Eric said earlier, stop trying to define it for us because they're messing it up. And you shouldn't continue that by saying it was about what he was or who he was. It was just about the color of his skin.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, well, talking about leading to the Derek Chauvin case and talking to a few pathological psychologists, they stated that one of the biggest reasons and the active ingredient in Chauvin wanted to have dominance over this large black man, in which in Chauvin's second job, this black man was his supervisor.
Well, so what I would right. So I don't know who these people are, right? But nobody else is talking about that. But the people you talk to. But listen, all I'm saying to you is this: nobody else is talking about it. Not even the defense, not even the prosecutor, right? They're not talking about that. Right? Your people are talking about that. The doctors that they've had on that have been talking, the witnesses that they have had on, have not even brought that up. Right?
Well, but you look at the doctors that they brought on are physicians.
No. But what I'm saying to you is this: 10 days into the trial. So I and again, I can't discredit the people that you talk to because I don't know who they are. Right? I don't know.
You know one of them. You know Dr. Wright.
Oh, so what I would say to Dr. Wright, and I'd love to have a conversation with him and try to understand from his 3,000 or 30,000 foot view how he got to that, right? Because what I see and look and all I'm going by is my experience as a brutalized black American here, right? And history, and saying that George Floyd's biggest crime was that he was black. That was his crime, right? And so everything initiated from the fact that he was black. Now, and this is where I'm saying the distractions are. When you start adding on things, right? Yeah. Then what you do is you give this false sense that, well, if he wasn't big, maybe things would be different. If he wasn't smart, maybe things would be different. If he wasn't driving a new car, maybe things would be different. If he wasn't in a $5,000 suit, maybe things would be different. If he didn't talk more intelligently than the cop was, maybe things would be different.
I didn't give any narrative in terms of what he wasn't. I gave the narrative in terms of what he was.
Right, and so what I'm saying is the only thing that we need to focus on, we need to be laser focused on, is that we're black. And they don't care about us. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. And so now, once you do that, right, all the rest of the stuff, you realize is a distraction. Because they'll make it up. Just like they make everything else up. Well, he was resisting arrest. Well, now when they show he's not resisting arrest, well, he was doing something else. Well, he was not doing that. Well, he wasn't complying. Well, he wasn't doing it. Well, he didn't. Well, he his hands weren't visible. Oh, well, this one's saying keep your hands visible. The other one's saying reach down and make your hands invisible and unfasten your seatbelt. I want you to understand this. So they will continue to give you these other narratives, right? Like the Joe Bidens and the Joe Scarboroughs and the Mika Brzezinskis and the rest of them, right? Instead of simply going, the only thing is that they hate y'all niggas. Sit.
Yeah.
Sit.
Listen, if they were trying to be fair with it, it's just based on who and what has happened to the little baby that was walking home from the corner store that begged and said, "I'm scared of you," or Philando Castile, that these people weren't anybody but regular old black folks. So I don't know where they're getting their effective data from, right? But just go over the last 30 black men who have been murdered in the street. They weren't officers, they weren't judges, they were just black people, right? What's the excuse for Breonna Taylor? What's the excuse for Sandra Bland? They were no threat to anyone.
And they'll give you the differences, but listen to all the differences, right? You can go through them all. Whether Castile, they got a reason, right? Then you got Sandra Bland, they got a reason. You got Tamir Rice, they got a reason. You got Michael Brown, they got a reason. You got Eric Garner, they got a reason. They got a different reason, and none of those reasons that they give is that they were black. Not one, none of them give that reason. And that is the only reason. And so as long as we're focused on the hocus pocus of the million reasons that they'll give, as opposed to the one reason that they all keep denying. Think about it. All of them. The one unifying thing about all of this is that in all of those cases, not one of them has admitted that it was because they were black. And that's the space we gotta stay in. So they want us arguing these other things. Oh, he had a car. Oh, he had a brand new this. Oh, he had a whatever. No. Nope.
They're not arguments. What they are is all of those cases that you talked about in which blacks were shot. Okay, what they did was rationalize with the same thing that they've been rationalizing since the Civil War. Oh, I fear for my life. Oh, the black man was this. Oh, black man was on drugs. Oh, the vehicle looked stolen because black men aren't allowed to get luxury vehicles. All of those is what they use as probable cause to put blacks in that situation where they will get pepper sprayed and or shot based upon them feeling how they comply. Because anything that you can do could be considered resisting arrest and not complying with them, which entitles or empowers them to use force to get you to comply. And you're right, and I've said this before, the major ingredient factor is the simple fact of they're black and how they perceive it. I did a show 2 years ago on de-escalation of police, and I had a panel of police. And I had this New Jersey State Troopers. Do you know that every police officer sees this one videotape of an officer getting shot? But you look at this videotape because it's grainy and it's black and white, that you think that this officer is being killed by a black man that he pulled over. In reality, once you look at it in its totality, he's killed. They say at the end, he's killed by his neighbor who is white.
Right.
So that is how they see us.
So I got a solution. So here's the solution. We as black people need to do everything we can to push our elected officials to separate and disband the unions, the police unions. See, let me explain what I'm saying to you. See, we have to get out of this thing, and I started this by saying, one of my family members who is now retired, he retired as a sergeant. I said to him, he said, Eric, all police officers aren't bad. I said, I disagree with you. Now, you can talk about levels of bad, right? But they're all bad. And I said, because everyone in the police department, all of the cops, know the bad cops. You all know them. You all know the ones who have these racist tendencies, who have told these racist jokes, right? So now the white cops, they may not tell the racist jokes around the black officers, and they may have developed this level of comfort where they say some stuff that they shouldn't say, right? And these black cops let them feel comfortable. But certainly around white cops, they do. And the white cops hear it, and then they choose to dismiss it or not. And what they should be doing is reporting it, but they're not. And when they don't, what they do is they put lives at risk, right? They put lives at risk because all of these police officers are supposed to take these psych exams, right? And they ask them these questions in these psych exams. All of the cops take them. And so now when you're sitting there with a cop, a police officer, who is speaking or saying something that you know if they said that in a psych exam, they would not be carrying a gun and a badge, you have an obligation. And your failure to report that, right, makes you a bad cop. End of story. So I don't want to hear the conversation about no bad cops and that the entire police department isn't on trial. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Because how do you allow somebody to be a part of police department for that long? The system is rotten, and everybody in it plays a part through their silence and non-action, right? And then you have the union that plays the biggest part in protecting these police officers. And then here comes the leadership again that I talk about that has to bear responsibility. They take money. The political leadership takes money and support from these fucked up unions and these police departments. And then you ask them to pass legislation to save you? I want you to understand how sick that is. They ain't gonna say nothing because they want the money. They want the support, right? They want the endorsement. So we have to break from it all. We have to tear it all down. You got something to say, Vincent? Now, they may be waiting outside my house after this. I don't know. But
I was just waiting for you to get off your soapbox. And then I was going to say, there is a level in which that proves Dr. King's point. The two most dangerous people are those who are sincerely ignorant and conscientiously stupid, or conscientious stupidity. When you allow things to happen and you know it's wrong, conscientious stupidity. Bottom line. By the way, Eric, you just faded out of view, and I see your green screen. So
you see what now?
I see your green screen behind you.
Oh no, that's because I got my kid. That's okay. Don't worry about. They can see me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm looking at my phone because I can't check the feed on my computer.
Okay. So what you run into, and that is part of this period of awakening in social consciousness, or new development in social consciousness, is that we are now eliminating some sincere ignorance. We talked about. Oh, by the way, our show tomorrow is going to be on true criminal justice reform. We have a bishop who was a former Philadelphia police officer, and we have the director of the Defender Project. They have now released 200 people from Pennsylvania prisons because of the actions of police officers and then people being railroaded. But what you have to actually look at is that there was a doctor of, in fact, Harvard, doctor of sociology, and she discussed with them conscientious stupidity and sincere ignorance. So what she said was, who believes that we don't have a problem with race in America? So none of her white students raised their hands. So she says, okay, so it looks like all of you white people don't think that we have a problem with race in America. Mm-hmm. If you don't think that we have a problem with race in America, I want you to stand up. And when you're standing up, you are saying that you are right now being willing to be treated like black people in America are treated. None of them stood up. She said, what you just exercised is conscientious stupidity and sincere ignorance. You want to be ignorant to the cause, but yet once you know the cause, you choose to ignore it.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, all of that, I guess, and I told this story, I think, at least once or twice, when my kids were going to what, I later learned they referred to as Berkeley Whites, which was Berkeley Heights township in here in New Jersey, up Route 78. My kids at any given time were in high school. They were, one or two of the total black population in the high school, right? So my oldest daughter was the only black kid when she was there. And then when my second oldest, Lucy, got there, the two of them were the two only black kids in the high school. And then when Olivia graduated, Lucy, I think another black family moved into town, and then Lucy and this person were the two black children there. And Lucy was they were having a debate about affirmative action and in the class. And one of the students actually said that, I don't know why we need affirmative action. You're here. Right, that was her argument. Like you're here, so the gates are open, and so Lucy said, "Well, so do you think that I'm the only black kid that would want to be here? Do you think that the only reason I'm here, no other black kids are here, is because no other black people want to be here? Or do you think that there are walls and there are things that are preventing other black people from getting here?" And so then Lucy asked me to see if Raymond Brown, the son of the famed civil rights lawyer, could come in and speak at her school on affirmative action, right? And so this is your point, to your point, Vincent. Raymond Brown started speaking very clearly and eloquently about these issues, and they cut him short. Didn't allow him to finish. Like literally, they cut this man who took the time out of his day, who probably charges somewhere upwards of $700 an hour, legal services. Right? They had enough. They didn't believe that those kids need to hear any more of that. And so let's fast forward 2 years after that, 2.5 years after that, my daughter Nia is now in that high school. And this is when Mike Brown was killed, right? Murdered. And Nia wore a shirt to school that said, "I can't breathe." And 2 days later, about 15 to 20 white kids wore shirts. They got them made up that said, "I can breathe." So, so they set the culture. They established the culture that they want. And they've decided on the information that they do not want, which is why I'm saying, and I've always said this, see, they can make a decision about Ray Brown coming, right? They can guide certain kinds of things. But what they can't guide is when you set policy and you set curriculum. And so we have to attack. We have to attack at that level. Nothing is going to change until we have policy changes. Nothing. And so when we look at and I agree with you when you make the statement that the fish rots from the head down, right? So from the head down, there are no policy changes being made that will lead to a fundamental shift, because Dr. King said, and you referenced him, he said there will have to be a cataclysmic confrontation, and that has not happened yet.
No, we haven't had the massive cataclysmic confrontation. What we've had is a series of skirmishes.
We've had some soft shoeing. That's what we've had. Let's call it what it is. We've had some soft shoeing. Not even hardcore tap dancing, just some soft shoeing. You know, and we need to have, you know, we need to have some Savion Glover, like hard tap dancing, right? And then some radical. That's what we need to have. But we got soft shoeing going. We got moonwalking. But until then, and I said this, right? When we were getting the token stuff, the streets painted, I said, we will have black people dying on these streets because black lives really don't matter. Right? That's what we have. So, you know, from the local communities all the way up, we have to push.
Okay.
You know, in the book, Eric, he also talks about, and I just finished it this weekend, he also talks about how even some of the legislative changes or even some of the laws that were implemented from a place of let them be quiet, not with the full intention of we're going to change the law and make it real, right? Is why we are where we are, right? He basically said in the first chapter of the book that the civil rights laws that were initiated, that he was so disappointed to find out that they were like tokens of trying to keep you quiet, right? So we haven't even seen real legislative action from the laws that were passed in 64 and 65, right? And we can't even get the current, right, in charge to try to solidify those laws. That is crazy, right? And then you wonder why the 20-year-old kid that was killed, they said not even 10 minutes from where they are on trial for George Floyd, that they don't care about that. They don't even care that they're on trial right now enough to say, and we won't kill another one not even 10 miles away. That is because we have never received legislative accurate, or let me say, or legitimate, or true and real legislative change from the beginning, from 64 and 65. So when people talk about we are in a reckoning, what reckoning? Are we in a 64, 65 reckoning? Are we in a new reckoning? Like, I'm beginning to wonder, what reckoning are we reckoning, or are we trying to reckon the initial reckoning? That is why my, I don't, yeah, it has gotten to a level of, where do we go from here, right? What's the next move?
The next move is to burn it all. The next move is to burn it all down. Listen, you can't, and you know, there will be no doubt losses, but we have to be willing to. We have to be willing to sacrifice that for the bigger win, right? But this thing is so infested. This thing is so infested that continually trying to use a scalpel to cut it out. Like, you can't do that. You know, like, you open a patient up and you realize that it is ravaged with this cancer, and you gotta drop the napalm bomb in there, right? That chemo, and you're gonna kill some good cells, but you know you're gonna get some bad ones. And we keep being told, no, you know, you've got to negotiate your way through this, right? You got to reason your way through it. And no, that's not how it's not gonna work like that. It's not going to work like the whole system. And Dr. King knew it.
Yeah.
Dr. King knew it. That's why he was killed. Right? Malcolm knew it. Right? So there are people who know it. And I understand this too. That the next group that really know it and embrace it and begin the movement, there's going to be an assassination. The reason you know that nobody has the courage, nobody has been courageous enough to step up and talk about it, is because nobody's life is at risk right now. Right? Nobody's life is at risk right now. And think about all of us as black people, right? We're not looking going, man, they're going. We thought when Obama was elected, not one black person didn't run through their mind, they're gonna assassinate him. But then it wasn't long before we said, I ain't gonna assassinate him.
The biggest thing that changed their mind was that Obama took a approach of, I'm not going to be afraid. So his inauguration, where most of the presidents were driven down the road, he and his wife walked.
No. You missed my whole point. You missed my whole point. What I'm saying to you is this: that he posed no threat to the establishment. He posed no threat to the caste system. He posed no threat to the infrastructure. Right?
Why do you think? Why I think he did. Why do you think Obama's first term, during the midterms of that, there was such a red wave of people voting Republicans into office to counter his act?
Oh no! You missed
a threat.
No. You missed what I'm saying.
Okay.
Listen, I'm gonna say to you this, right? That Dr. King got some black folks to vote a certain way, right? Got some stuff shifted, right? Just like in Georgia now, right? We got more black folks to come out and vote, right? And they're touting that. But there's really no angst amongst the oligarchs. No angst right now amongst the oligarchs that anything is going to fundamentally change.
No, I think there is an angst amongst the oligarchs, which is why they've now started changing the voting in Georgia and certain other states. I think what it is with the oligarchs is that they want to keep that white imperialistic power, and that they're finding that this period of awakening or reckoning, as some people want to call it, is that they want to do everything possible to quash it,
right,
to end it.
But okay.
I think we're misunderstanding action with A.
Yeah, I think that exactly.
It wouldn't. If they would only be angst if I hate to go back here, but I'm going to always go back here. If there was federal legislative change,
correct,
to strengthen voters' rights, right? No, they're just saying this is about action. This is about an election for 2022, right?
Right.
This isn't really about we're afraid of what's going to happen or the system itself changing, right? Because again, we go right back to that. What is changing if Georgia changes, but New Jersey and New York does not? What's the angst?
Well, here is the angst. What they are afraid of is this becoming a trend or pattern where the black vote is now going for the actual change of power.
But you know why they're not afraid of that? Because they have the Negro whisperers and the slave catchers well positioned. Caller, go.
Hey, good morning, guys. I guess it's still morning. But I just wanted to make one correction. There are people still being assassinated on the local level. These big organizations are infiltrated, and I'm not going to say that they're bought out, but there's so much money flowing through these major organizations that they're towing the line. But the guys and the ladies out here on the street level that want to make changes from a street position or local level, they're still being assassinated. Just look at all the people in St. Louis and all around the country that were activists that were murdered and they were nowhere to be found, or if they were found, they were in a burning vehicle. But it's a money thing, and with the voting blocks, yeah, we are a major voting block, but we're not leveraging that voting block to really position ourselves. It's a money thing, whereas, yeah, we're going to come through, spread some campaign funds. We're going to whisper sweet nothings in your ear about what you want to hear, but then when we put people in power, they drift away from our concerns.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. I'm glad you brought that out. And in terms of, in reference to assassination, what they did not do is assassinate Obama physically, but they did everything possible to assassinate his work, his name, his birthright, his family. I mean, the entire thing. Even one politician calling Michelle Obama in a $20,000 gown, a very dressed up chimp.
But that's looking at it from a classism. That's looking at it from a classism. Excuse me, hold on. I'm gonna get off. That's looking at it from a classism position, where Obama proved himself to be neutral. I heard you quote Martin Luther King earlier. He also had a quote about being neutral in a time of moral crisis, and
I believe we just
in a lot of times. But go ahead.
No. I agree with you. I believe we discussed that quote before, and in terms of, he said there being a special place in hell for those who are dwelling in the neutrality. Right? Hello?
I don't mean to I don't mean to I don't mean to downplay anything you said, Will, but when we're talking about assassinations, right? No, and this is not to say that any life that was taken in a southern city of an activist or someone who took a video, because I know that's one of them, took a video of something happened, isn't an assassination, but, or, just, I don't want to downplay it, right? But, you're talking apples and I'm talking oranges, right? But where the assassinations I'm talking about is leadership who has the ability and the capability and has made such a shift in the world, right? On the world stage, that it can change a law, right? Because I can't, in all fairness to the memory of Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, compare them to what you're saying. There has been no assassination, no thought of an assassination, no threat of an assassination of leadership that could change the schism of our situation since those men died. And I think it's like, while I understand, right, where you're coming from, I would again say apples and oranges, and I still, assassination of Obama's character, still again, apples and oranges. And those are the things, when we start saying those things, we downplay the importance of that leadership that we're missing.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Jody. That was my point. When they started the verbal assassination of Obama, they actually undermined and downplayed his leadership to the point where they thought he was ineffective.
Again,
Jody.
That's not what she was saying, though.
Jody, what I'm saying to you is this. Once you remove the confidence that the American public have in their leadership, they are dead politically.
So that would be to say, right? This would be the same, right? That would be to say, so when they said that Martin Luther King was the cheater, and a philanderer, then they didn't have to kill him, right?
That was the
him according to what you're saying, right? So when
correct
he assassinated Obama's, I don't know, reputation or whatever, right? They
credibility.
on the need to kill him because he didn't pose a threat. He was sitting in the highest office of the land, and it wasn't like he was initiating any, any changes that was going to change our predicament legislatively.
Yes, he did.
Martin Luther King and Obama are two different leaders, kinds of leaders, and they needed to murder Martin Luther King, and so I think it's like piss poor analysis to measure any man on this planet after he died, or any death of any man on this planet, to start playing with it like same thing, kind of same thing, not the same thing.
Well, unfortunately, Jody, this is a reality. The litmus test of Black America is still based upon those two men. Although I do agree they have different leadership styles, yet they still went through a great deal of attacks. Now,
you mean Obama and Martin Luther King?
Yes, they have different leadership styles. Isn't that one of the points that you made?
Are you getting what I'm saying to you? Please do not. I don't even think Obama would appreciate being put in the same category and or in the same breath as Martin Luther King. I think he would find, he would say to you, nah, I wasn't that kind of guy. Because
Jody, what you're saying is exactly what I just said. Two different styles.
Right? So it's a certain thing, right? It's something different, right? When you walk to your death, right? And you know it, right? Martin Luther King, by no stretch of the imagination, didn't understand, accept, and keep moving through the fact that they're going to murder me. I will not, he knew better than you or I or anyone else. Malcolm X the same. These are men who stood on something knowing that if I continue on this path, they are going to blow my head off. And my constitution was in me for what it was, whatever it was. If it was religious for one man and it was just civil disobedience for another. These men walk to their death. No man, no black leadership we've seen since should ever be put in the same death. Because guess what? Obama ain't walking to shit for you or me.
But let us be clear. But let us be clear. Let us be clear. Not only walking to their death, but walking to a death or a murder sanctioned by the government. See. So it wasn't like some dude off the street, like they were fearing some dude off the street, right? They were literally against the entire government.
That's right.
Was against them. And I'm saying to you that there was never a moment in Obama's administration where he was fearing. And now I'm going to tell you, JFK. Wait a minute, JFK.
That is Eric. First and foremost, that is not a true statement. Even in Michelle Obama's book, she talked about the constant fear that their family had
from the government.
Their children. Wait a minute.
From the government.
One of the biggest ones that they had was placed upon when Trump said what he said.
No, I'm saying from the government.
Jeopardy.
But see what you just did.
Please.
But see what you just did.
Eric, can I please?
Stop, you don't have to keep.
If you have not noticed today was one of those rare days where I have never interrupted anybody.
Go ahead, Vincent. Vincent, go ahead, Vincent.
Here is the most important thing about Malcolm, Martin, and Obama. They both, yes, in the face, oh, here we go. They both, in the face of death, with courage, continued on the fight. And they both, but one of the biggest things for their sacrifice and walking to their death, knowing what people were going to do, is that they paved the way so that they take because one of the biggest things that they did in doing that was they paved the way to minimize the attempts on President Obama and other black leaders today. Thank you, Dave.
Oh my God, yo. Listen, like Eric said, I'll try and like Eric said, right? The government killed Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, right? The government.
Okay.
So that's this uprising of white supremacy, right? Obama is a faction of the government. He never thought the government, that the FBI and the CIA were working to his death. He might have thought it was a crazy Trump fan that might try, but he was never in jeopardy of being assassinated by the United States government.
I want to ask you a question.
There's never been another leader since those men, and it
wasn't.
No. Let me. I want to ask a question.
That were murdered. They were murdered by our government. And I would say to you again that President Obama would say to you that he is not in the same echelon of leadership. He is not to be compared to Martin Luther King when he has said on several occasions that he stands on their death.
So
that he is there because
he stands on their shoulder.
A product. He's just a product.
Right. So
But he cannot be compared.
So I want to say this. I want
to those men's history.
So we're beyond the wait. So we're beyond the hour. So I'm going to make a comment, and then Vincent, you can comment, and then Jody, if you have a comment, I'll allow that before we end it. So when when I talked about Dr. King and I talked about Malcolm, Vincent, I was talking about people who were engaged in a movement, right? And this movement was to tear down the construct, right? And so even when I looked at the story of Billie Holiday, right? United States versus Billie Holiday, and we see how the government, not individuals, but the government works in a very organized way to destroy what they perceive to be a movement, which will cause a cataclysmic shift in the caste system. So when they sought to destroy Billie Holiday, it was because she represented was a part of this movement that was attacking very directly a caste system. I'm saying Obama never felt that pressure. You could talk about the individuals, you could talk about the Trumpialites and all the rest of these individuals. I'm talking about he was never engaged at a degree where he was perceived by any of those people who control at the highest level those strings, where he felt that the government was on his back.
Okay, my turn?
Sure.
All right, well, let's look at one of the biggest assassinations in our history, or by
I'm talking about Obama.
I am.
Okay.
Can you let me finish?
Sure.
In terms of the actual government involvement in assassinations, it's been this pattern. They know who's going to do it. They know when they're going to do it. And the government allows them to do it. That is what causes the perfect storm of an assassination. So, now, and then you have to look at another thing. In terms of actual saying that the government assassinated them is not the full truth, because one of the things is that you have to look at the government, for the most part, is the puppet of the richer and powerful people who get them elected. So we're looking at now the corporation of white imperialism, or as you always say, the corporation of white supremacy, looking to oppress. And if you think that they did not consider Obama to be a threat, then you are absolutely fundamentally flawed.
Okay.
Because they have fought so hard to assassinate his character and his work. Obama has done so much that his wife even said, the biggest problem that I have with my husband's presidency is that he didn't hire a publicist to put out all the things that he did.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I want to see the FBI tapes. I want to see the folks who were trailing the FBI agents and the CIA
the
agents.
FBI tapes on King and Malcolm would be available.
No, on Obama. On Obama. Because we know
that won't be available until what?
Yeah.
20?
Yeah.
40?
I want to see how the FBI was surveilling him, and how they were threatening him. I want to see that. I'd love to see it, because then, so whatever that year is, then I'll offer up some apologies for, not having my.
You ain't apologizing.
Right, because I don't know that those things exist. I don't know that they exist. I don't know they exist. But we know how the FBI. We know how they treated.
You know what's bad about this, and then I'm gonna be done. It's something about it, because those kind of theories will make someone say what it is, right? Which I don't like to do, because I'm not against Obama. I'm not someone trying to tear Obama or his legacy down. I'm most proud of that legacy, right? But they didn't have shit to be worried about, we found out, right? They didn't have much to be worried about. There wasn't much concern about what he was going to do to shift the issues in our community. They really didn't have much to be worried about. And to force someone to say that, because you want to argue and put him in that category, which he much himself has never put himself in that category, but again, said he was a product of their death. It's so insulting. But if they ever was concerned about what he would do for us, they didn't have much to be worried about.
Yeah.
Well, I never read that quote that he said that he was a product of their death, but I will research that.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Today is tomorrow's Tuesday, DeGiovanni Day. We'll have some conversation about that. I'm going to tune in and try to catch the Chauvin trial. And like I said, guys, be prepared. Be prepared. I hear the narrative now, and it's saying what I said a week or so ago, where, look, at the end of the day, you've got the defense attorney. He's only got to turn one out of those 12 jurors. Just got to convince them that there's reasonable doubt. The prosecution has the burden of convincing all 12. All 12. Right? And so pay attention to what's coming through. And I can't emphasize enough that part of the frustration has to do with the fact that the way that the system is working now, right, doesn't work for us when the shoe's on the other foot. Until tomorrow, stay blessed, stay safe, mask up. And, I thank all of you guys out of the 1 out of every 5 that has been vaccinated, and the 4 million plus that will be vaccinated today.